And so we start this week, this Monday, with some interesting news from JT Prime 17, a reliable source when it comes to Transformer leaks from Walmart and Walmart listings, UPC codes, and of course the EAN codes found in Walmart's app. And yet again, we see what is going to be future coming, confirmed 100% Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom product. We knew these were coming primarily because of them being featured in art, whether it be the giant poster art, the control art, and stuff like that. But this more or less confirms that we are going to be getting these and that they will be at some point in a later wave date. So we have one core class figure and we have two Voyager scale figures. The first one being that of Core Class Generation 1 Soundwave. Now, the interesting one with Soundwave is because he's probably the one that when it comes to him being featured in any kind of Kingdom art, he's the least seen. The only indicator we really have of him is we have that giant battle poster that was shown to us during the Hasbro Pulse. I think it was the Hasbro Pulse Con panel. And if you look all the way on the left, you could just kind of see a little bit of Soundwave's arm and leg and his weapon. The assumption is, and I'm hoping it's this, it's a core class. So because it's a core class, you could have a little more fun with what it turns into and its simplicity. I kind of hope he turns into a little tape deck Soundwave. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, I'm reminded of like the world's smallest Soundwave, which came out, God, what year was that? I want to say like 2006, 2007. That was really cool. It was a tiny little Soundwave, small little budget price point, and it transformed into his little tape deck. Doesn't have to come with any tapes. It'd be cool if it just does his generic G1 transformation. Legs wrap around him, arms go behind. Little cannon, like it's shown here, his little cannon that also makes the batteries in his backpack. And hey, if it opens up the chest and has just a little entry that maybe 3D printers could later on make little tapes for, that would be really cool. If I'm telling you, man, if that turns out that way, that'll be one of the coolest core class figures thus far up to this point. And that includes our little Rat Trap and Optimus and everything and Starscream. And I guess we could count the buzzworthy Bumblebee that we talked about a few days ago. But that would be very cool. I'd dig that a lot. And then, of course, you could get the repaint of Sound Blaster and Shattered Glass Soundwave afterwards out of it. So you'll get a lot of mileage out of that mold. Heck, you retool it a little bit, you get Blaster out of it. Who knows? We'll see with that one. The one after that is Voyager Rhinox. Now, this one we've seen two pieces of art. The main Kingdom art itself, which has Rhinox messing with some kind of device he's working on, and then he's top right in the battle poster. He's in the top right in the little corner there. You could barely make him out, but there he is. The question is how good this figure is going to be, and the reason why I bring that up is because in the late game of the Thrilling 30 and the Generations, when Generations was getting phased out and we were going into the Prime Wars trilogy and stuff like that, starting with Combiner Wars, we got a really good Rhinox toy. Now, granted, some of the QC issues with it, some people were complaining that it was a little weak in the knees and it was floppy in some areas, but that's something that wasn't too bad. It was kind of hit or miss. I know that I picked up one and the knees were fine, but I know that Jaws D, could barely stand up. So I could understand that kind of, misgivings for it. But at the same time, that toy is like a masterpiece. And for the longest time, when people would have displays, or even alternatively, when Takara would be at Wonder Festival or any kind of convention, when they would display their masterpieces of Maximals, whether it be Optimus Primal with Cheetor and Dinobot, they would take that Rhinox and include it in that photo shoot just because it scaled so well and worked so well with those figures. So whatever we're going to be getting here is going to be very interesting to say the least, because we had a really good mass retail, affordable, and it even went on clearance at one point, Generations Voyager scale Rhinox all those years ago. The question is, how good is this one going to be? Is it going to be a different take on the design? Is it going to try its best to be as close as possible to the show model? It's going to be really hard to top what we got before. I kind of expect this to be a different direction Maybe it'll come with different accessories instead of 2 chain guns of doom. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. But all I know is that original one is awesome. Still very affordable to pick up today. They even have a Japanese version if you want a different color scheme. So this one's going to have to wow me. This one's going to really have to be something unique to really top that old one, because that old one was pretty as good as it's going to get in terms of show accuracy. And the last one we got here, very last one we have, is the Voyager scale, Voyager class Tigatron. And this one too, we also knew was coming. He was front and center on that Kingdom art, so we knew we were going to be getting a Tigatron at some point. Voyager class makes perfect sense. Tigatron should not just be a straight up repaint, retool of Cheetor. Tigatron has always been much larger than him. He was Big Cat, Cheetor's little cat, as he used to call him in the show. And yeah, if the recent masterpiece is any indicator, it's how it should be. He should always be much larger, and the scale should be comparable to that. Now, will this be a mini masterpiece in a sense? This Voyager scale Tigatron is going to have the masterpiece engineering and really knock it out of the park? I kind of hope so. That Tigatron masterpiece that we got recently was a pretty expensive item. So to give something that's a much more affordable retail product for collectors would be really good. Would be really, really good. And it'd be good for people who can't afford the masterpiece, or if alternative for people who want to just have a really nice Tigatron into scale for the rest of their Kingdom lineup. But that's more or less just the 3 shown here. I'm going to post some images of just some comparison photos of old product to give people an idea of what we've had in the past and what we could look forward to in the future. But again, the Soundwave to me is going to be the most intriguing, just because that's something that if it does do what I think it's going to do, it's going to be a really exciting product for a lot of people to pick up. And it'll be the most affordable of the bunch, being that lower core class price point. Rhinox, I can't imagine it being better than that generation's toy, but I mean, prove me wrong. I'd love to be wrong, because I can't imagine it, but I would love to see that. In the same way that if we had a masterpiece Rhinox, how much better could it be outside of that generation's one, outside of plastic quality and obviously a little bit of R&D engineering and maybe better paint apps. But at the end of the day, like, that was such a great toy that it's going to be hard to imagine a modern 2021 retail Kingdom Voyager being better than something that came all those years ago during the Generations peak. Kind of like how I compare the Generations RC from that same era to the RC that we got in Earthrise, and you could really see how different the worlds are today in terms of what a deluxe is. And last but not least, again, getting back to that Tigatron, I just hope it looks good. I hope it's a mini masterpiece, and I hope it makes people happy. Give us the gut gun, his classic gut gun, and everyone will be down for that, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, let me know what you think. This is exciting stuff. Again, Kingdom is just killing it. It's gonna make a lot of people poor because of all the good product. But let me know what you think, guys.